Please explore this new video by one of our top performers in the International Business and Marketing lines at SDU. Luisa has written a master thesis on measuring online shop satisfaction.
My name is Luisa and I'm studying International Business and Marketing at the University of Southern Denmark. With this presentation, I want to give a brief overview of my master thesis project. I wrote about online shop satisfaction and how it can be measured, and conducted an empirical analysis among fashion e-retailers. My master thesis was supervised by Nicole Franziska Richter. This slide provides an overview of what to expect in this video presentation. Generally, my aim is to give a brief overview of my project and to introduce my main results. First of all, I want to introduce the research problem and the motivation of my research. When we are looking at online retailing, we can see that there is an increasing number of online sales and buyers. At the same time, online retailers have to face the challenge of high competition. Online shop satisfaction can be seen as one way to face this challenge. If the online shopper is satisfied, he is likely to stay loyal and to recommend the online shop to others, for example, to friends or colleagues. In the long term, satisfied online shoppers should have a positive impact on profitability. This is why I came up with the research question: how can online shop satisfaction among fashion e-retailers be measured? The aim of my research is to develop and empirically test such a model. I think the research is theoretically relevant, as measurement tools that specifically focus on drivers of satisfaction in the field of fashion are lacking. From a practical perspective, I think it is relevant because it supports practitioners to design an online shop and to overcome the described challenge. It is relevant to mention that I have focused my research on German fashion e-retailers. I choose the fashion segment because it is relevant to investigate, as it is the biggest e-commerce segment. And I choose the German market because it is an attractive market for fashion e-retailers. I started my research by looking at different concepts that helped me to define my measurement tool. Obviously, it was relevant to create a better understanding and define satisfaction. With this understanding, I included other concepts with marketing background, because an online shopper is a customer of a company. Also, I have included concepts with information system background, because an online shopper is a user of a system. All in all, I think that the different concepts helped me to understand online shop satisfaction and the expectations and experiences of an online shopper. Moreover, I applied the concepts to the field of fashion, so they helped me to get insights in the fashion online industry. Most importantly, the concepts helped me to identify different drivers that could be included in the tool. In addition to that, I also conducted a literature review on measurement concepts, and the aim of my literature review was to get an overview of the current state of research. So I was looking at similar research projects and tried to understand how previous researchers had approached similar research questions and how they have defined their measurement tools. To identify relevant articles, I was searching in 3 different databases and defined a keyword set that I used to search for the articles. In total, I found more than 500 articles, and I have narrowed it down in the next step to 12 articles, which I have used for the further analysis. In the next step, I developed and applied a coding scheme, and with this coding scheme, I was able to analyze the articles in a structured way. This table is one of the main outcomes of my literature review. We can see which content is covered by the scales in the different studies listed in the top row. The column on the left contains different content categories, and whenever the content was covered by the scale, at least as an indicator, I made a cross in the table. The column on the right sums up how often the content was covered in the studies. To make the table easier to read, I have highlighted the results in different shades of orange. The content highlighted in dark orange was mentioned in more than 9 studies, so I could conclude that ease of use, information provision, and privacy security is included in most of the scales. Moreover, I was analyzing which constructs were identified as significant and insignificant in the different studies. As we can see in this table, there is no clear picture of the significance of the different constructs. For example, when we look at privacy security, we can see that it was identified as insignificant in study 4 and as significant in Study 7. With the understanding I got through the literature review and the different concepts, I was in the next step able to develop 6 hypotheses. The hypotheses cover different constructs that should have a positive influence on online shop satisfaction. They are product portfolio, information provision, ease of use, the checkout process, the visual appearance of an online shop, and lastly, inspiration. To define the different constructs, I used the results of my literature review. That means I used the definition of the construct that I found was the most suitable one as a basis and adapted some of the measures to ensure that they are fitting my research context. After I had conceptually defined the hypothesis and my research model, I wanted to test them in my research through quantitative data. I collected my own data through an online survey which I have conducted among German fashion online shoppers, and the online shoppers had to rate their experience with their favorite fashion online store. The final dataset included 148 responses, and I also compared the characteristics of my sample with the aim population and found out that I have reached more young and more female online shoppers. Finally, to evaluate the relationships, I used structural equation modeling and the software SmartPLS. This slide illustrates the main results I received when analyzing the model with SmartPLS. We can see that out of the 6 constructs I had included in the model, 4 of them are statistically significant and 2 of them are not. So I had to reject the hypotheses 3 and 6. Overall, the model delivered an R-square of 0.556. That means that the model explains 55.6% of online shop satisfaction. Moreover, I could confirm that the model has predictive relevance. In this step, it is important to mention that I have adjusted some of the measurement models to ensure that they fulfill the applied criteria for valid and reliable measures. The findings have theoretical and practical implications. From a theoretical perspective, the research contributes by suggesting a new measurement approach. The OS satisfaction model is different from other models through the specific focus I have applied when I developed the model. To recall, the focus was set on fashion e-retailers. More general, the research can support future researchers that develop similar tools. To make a specific example, I would recommend paying more attention to the construct's product portfolio and checkout. Based on the understanding I got, they haven't got enough attention yet, at least in the studies I have reviewed. This research also showed that it is recommendable to develop models that fit specific contexts and that it's necessary to adjust models over time. From a practical perspective, the research has implications for the targeted group of fashion e-retailers. They can use the model to understand in which areas it is worth to invest to increase satisfaction with their online shop. To be more specific, it can be recommended to design an easy and quick checkout process and provide the information the customer needs to fulfill his purchase. Also, the model can be used to evaluate their shop and to identify room for improvement or to benchmark their shop against online shops of their competitors. From a broader perspective, the research is also relevant for other channel members, for example, social media provider or manufacturers. The results showed that inspiration is not a significant driver of online shop satisfaction. Nevertheless, it is a trend shaping the industry, so it could be from interest to connect the online shop with social media platforms instead of including inspirational features in the online shop itself. Practical implications exist also for e-retailers that offer products outside of fashion. Some of the constructs, like the checkout process, are more general and could be transferred to their business. Like other research, my research goes along with limitations. At the same time, those limitations provide room for future research. On this slide, you can see 2 limitations that are, in my view, the most important ones and my suggestions for future research. The first limitation refers to the way I have developed my model. I included constructs that seemed most relevant based on the selected concepts and the selected articles of the literature review. In future research, it could be interesting to see how different approaches perform in comparison to my model. For example, if the constructs cover only the different steps of the customer journey. As another limitation, I want to mention that my model was only tested on the basis of one sample. In future research, it would be interesting to test the generalizability of the model, for example by referring it to another industry. I want to end my presentation by referring my project back to the research question. As a measurement approach of online shop satisfaction, I would recommend the model as it is illustrated on this slide. To sum up, the model includes 6 constructs that are measured by 19 indicators. It is able to explain more than 55% of the construct satisfaction. Thank you for watching this video and for your interest in the topic. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. Thank you.